Yeah, can I start?
Oh, your voice is echoing.
Give me 1 minute, I'll start. Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm Harshita, presenting our project Mental Health Wellbeing Analysis at Pandemic Times. Next slide, please. Yeah, we thank Mr. Sharad Chandra sir for giving this opportunity and right guidance. It is very helpful for our team to have him as he had many years experience in this industry to assist us in a right way. And special thanks to Aniket Annam to be with us and guide our team throughout the project. Coming third slide, fourth and fifth, these are our team members who I would like thank everyone for doing their part of the job very fruitfully and completing project successfully. Coming to sixth slide. Yeah. Coming to content, we divided our work of project by step. Coming to introduction and project objectives and constraints, CRISP-ML project methodology, technical stacks, project architecture and data pipeline, data understanding, data preprocessing, model building, deployment, and finally conclusion. Coming to our project goals, objectives are maximizing the children well-being, analyzing the factors determining well-being of children during lockdown. We analyzing and understanding the emotional and behavioral difficulties of children. Moving on to constraints, imbalance in biased data, text preprocessing of future, and medical data is sensitive. Thank you. Now the Divya will take the forward this session.
Thank you, Ashita. Good evening, friends. My name is Divya. This slide is about CRISP-ML methodology. CRISP-MLQ, that is, it stands for Cross-Industry Standard Process for the Development of Machine Learning Applications with Quality Assurance Methodology. In CRISP-ML, we have 6 stages. The first stage is business and data understanding. The business understanding phase focuses on understanding the objectives and requirements of the project, thereby bringing clarity to the business problem. And in this project, we focus on the factors that affect the children's well-being based on the emotional and behavioral difficulties. Data understanding. Quality data is fundamental to any data science project. The main goal of data understanding is to gain general insights about the data that will potentially be helpful for the further steps in the data analysis process, like whether the data is balanced or unbalanced, structured or unstructured, etc. So it is the main area we should focus on because we can be able to prioritize the features which are more important and can fix those and do further action. Second stage is data pre-processing or data engineering. Data preparation is the process of cleaning and transforming raw data prior to processing and analysis. It's an important step prior to processing and often involves reformatting data, making corrections to data, and the combining of data sets to enrich data. It is the phase where more than 80% of the project time is consumed, but the efficient and accurate business decisions can only be made with the clean data. Third stage is the model building. It's a process where model technique selection and application, model training, model hyperparameter setting and adjustment, model validation, ensemble model development and testing, algorithm selection, and model optimization is done. And the fourth stage is the model testing and evaluation, the process where the performance of a fully trained model is evaluated on a test set Testing is done by train and test, split method. Model evaluation is the process of using different evaluation metrics to understand a machine learning model's performance as well as its strength and weakness. Model evaluation is important to assess the efficacy of a model during initial research phase, and it also plays a major role in model monitoring. And the fifth stage is deployment. In deployment phase, we integrate a machine learning model into an existing production environment to make practical business decisions based on the data. The last and the final stage is monitoring and maintenance. Model monitoring is an operational stage in the machine learning lifecycle. It helps us in monitoring ML models for changes such as model degradation, data drift, and concept drift, and ensuring that the model is maintaining an acceptable level of performance. Next slide, please. And coming on to the next slide, it talks about the technical stack. What are the tools that we have used in building the model from the beginning till the deployment stage is explained in this slide. The first is the Python that is used for data pre-processing, model building, and dumping the model. Spider, which is IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment for Python. HTML and CSS is used on the front end to build the HTML page for web application. Flask is a micro web framework written in Python and is a backend work used to build a web application. Heroku is a cloud platform which is used to deploy the model and manage the model. The next slide will be continued by Ms. Suryakala. Thank you.
Thank you, Divya. Hello, everyone. Myself, Suryakala. The image displays the workflow of the entire process. As we got the data through primary sources, first we analyzed the project objective and the data. Most of the data were in categorical format. In the data processing step, we first did missing values imputation using mode imputation, label encoding for the categorical data, and then went through the univariate and bivariate analysis using matplotlib. Future engineering is done to see which factors has more influence on the target variable. Scikit-learn library is used in splitting the dataset and in model building. In model building, different classification model techniques were applied. First, data is split into train and test data, and the model is built on train data, and then finding the best model by applying to it test data. Evaluation is done using accuracy measures like accuracy score and F1 score, and finally deployed the model in the Heroku cloud platform. HTML and CSS is used for the front end to build the page for a web application. Flask is a micro web framework written in Python and is backend framework used to build reapplications. Here, Heroku is a cloud platform which is used to deploy the model and manage the model. And coming to the next slide. Next slide, please. Data collection. Data is collected from primary source, that is the data set is a survey questionnaire filled by the children with parental consent. The data set has 985 records and 59 PHs where most of the data are categorical. The data collected is in the form of raw data format. It requires a lot of preprocessing. The data preprocessing is done using techniques like imputation, removal of duplicate records, label encoding, and dropping irrelevant columns. The next slide will be continued by Ms. Pallavi. Thank you.
Thanks, Suryakala. Hello everyone, I am Pallavi. So far we have gained project architecture and understand the data collection. Now we move further to understand the data dictionary. Here we have a data dictionary which basically shows the name of the feature and respective data types. In this data dictionary, there are 3 columns. First is feature name present in the data set. Second is data type, and third is subcategory of the data type. This data set contains 59 features. Coming to the next slide, we have next slide please. We have described whether each of the features are in which category, continue or discrete. Out of 59 features, only 5 features are continuous in nature. The rest of all are discrete in nature. That is the most of the feature are category in the nature. From column number 41 to 56, these 60 columns belong to me and my feelings questionnaires. Next slide, please. Now we are moving to the EDA part of our project, that is exploratory data analysis. Exploratory data analysis is an approach to analyze the data using visual techniques. Here we analyze some parameters which are rated from scale 1 to 10. In the first visualization, we clearly see that 75% of children spend their time with family. The second pie chart shows us the distribution of the scale and their bonding. 80.9% of children having good relation and bonding with their friends, and less than 5% of children not sharing good bond with their friends. Next slide, please. Now about health, we can see that around 78% of children are feeling absolutely healthy and less than 11.5% of children are feeling unhealthy. Now our next visualization is on life. More than 75% of children doing well in their life. Next slide, please. Now about school. Around 75.5% of children rated their school more than 8 score. So they are doing well and they are satisfied. Now our next pie chart is about appearance. So more than 74.8% of children are looking good. So they scale their appearance more than 8. Thank you. Now Arfaz will taking forward from here.
Thank you, Pallavi. Hi everyone, my name is Arfaz and I'll be doing univariate analysis using some bar graphs. So in this slide, as you can see, children were asked how frequently they can eat sugary snacks. As you can see that most of the kids fall in the range of more than 4 days a week, which is not good sign for their health. Then children were asked whether they feel part of their school community or not. Most of the children have agreed that yes, they feel part of the school community. The reason could be that children are not left behind in the schoolwork. Next slide, please. Okay. Now the next question was, there are a lot of things I'm good at. As the result shows, yes, children possess some or the other skills in which they are really good at. Next, they were asked whether there is any place at their home to relax. As a significant portion of the response shows, yes, they have place to relax at their home. Next slide, please. Now, these two questions are related to their intake of healthy fruits and workout durations. Most of the children eat 2 or more fruits a day and work out for at least an hour on most days of the week. This shows that children have kept in mind about their physical fitness, even though they consume sugary snacks for most of the weekdays. Next slide, please. The next question was, how well are they doing with their schoolwork? A lot of children responded that they are doing very well in it, and the reason could be because of their school community, as we saw in the above graph. Then they were asked whether they get enough time to play. As the graph shows, yes, they get enough time to play after the schoolwork and other activities. Now for the data pre-processing part, I would like to hand over to Vaishnavi. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Harfas. I'm Vaishnavi. I'm going to proceed further with data pre-processing. Yeah, data pre-processing is an important and one of the phases of this DML methodology. It invokes transformation raw data into the meaningful format. So as we found some missing values in the data and duplicate rows, and most of the data is in categorical in nature. So by using below techniques, we brought the data into the proper format. First one is missing values. So we used mode imputation technique because most of the data is in categorical in nature. And coming to duplicate values. So when we saw the data set, we found there are 43 duplicate rows. So we removed from the data set for better accuracy. And coming to next one, we converted categorical data to numerical data by using label encoder for building the best model. So while building the model, we dropped some of the columns like ID, year, month, day, etc., which are not impacting for the model building. And we used the we renamed the columns for best purpose. And next slide, please. So after analyzing the data, we found 23 slide, Sriram.
Yeah, this one. With the it's empty, it shows.
Okay, next slide, please. After analyzing the data, we found 16 columns are the output columns. Out of 16, first 10 are emotional difficulties and this next 6 are behavior difficulties. Based on the conditions, we have given the values of 0, 1 and 2 for never, sometime, always. But for one column, the values are reversed. According to the score, emotional and behavior columns are created. So we need to categorize into 3 groups based on the score for both emotional and behavior. For emotional, if the calculated score is from 0 to 9, we need to consider it as expected. And if the score is from 10 to 11, it should be like borderline difficulties. And finally, if the score is from 12 and more than 12, it should be clinically significant difficulties. The same likewise, emotional, we are having 3 categories for behavior. If the calculated score is from 0 to 5, then it should be as expected difficulties. The score is 6, then it is borderline difficulties. And if the score is 7 or more, it is clinically significant difficulties. Next slide, please. Yes. So while building, some of the models are giving overfitting results due to imbalance of data. So balancing the data is necessary. Because of that, we use multi-tape sampling technique for balancing the data for best accuracy and for overcoming the overfitting problems. Thank you for all. I would like to hand over to Shrikant for the next slides.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. So, in order to build a so each feature is not in. Some of the features will provide such things. The selection is not finding the selection. Have different kind of testing and selecting. And yeah, some of the machine learning for this project, we use random forest to do. So fit our random forest now and put a threshold which have feature for the threshold. Considering the by doing so, we received 7 best features to and next slide. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Somebody please come.
Yes, your voice was little taking. Now it is okay. Continue.
Thank you. Here in these graphs, each bar represents feature at horizontal. Features which are crossing the threshold are the next slide. So here, see the names of the. So now Chaitra will.
Thank you, Shrikant. Next slide, please. So I'll be continuing further with the model building part. So to build the model, we have divided the entire data set into a train and test with a 70 and 30% ratio. And then we used a different supervised technique algorithms such as SVM model, multinomial logistic regression, random forest, and XGBoost. And for each model, we tested with the accuracy and F1 score. Next slide, please. So since our output target variable is of 3-class problem and the class were imbalanced, so we used the SMORE technique, that is synthetic minority oversampling technique, to balance the distribution for all the 3 classes. So from the first diagram, we can see that before using the SMORE technique, the distribution of the classes, and in the second diagram, we can see the distribution of all the 3 classes after doing the resampling technique. And in the fourth diagram, we can see that there is a very low F1 score for the class for output variable before using the SMORE technique. And in the fourth diagram, we can see that there is a much improvement in the F1 score for all the 3 classes. Next slide, please. So these two tables are the comparison of performance of all the 4 models we used in while building the model. So from the table, we can see that multinomial logistic regression was not giving that much good accuracy and F1 score values. And coming to the random forest and XGBoost model, even though the F1 scores are very good, but we are getting the models were overfitting. So we dropped all the 3 models and we selected SVM model as a final model because that is the one which is giving a good accuracy and F1 score values, and also it was the right fit model. So that is the reason we finalized the SVM as our final model for both emotional data set and behavioral data set. Next slide, please. So this part will be continued by Shrikant. Thank you.
Thank you, Chetra. My name is Akhil. I will be continuing the presentation from now. The next part of the presentation is deployment. For deployment, we have used Flask and Heroku. Flask is used to create the web application, and Heroku is used to deploy the web application that we have created using the Flask. And Flask is a micro web framework written in Python. It is classified as a micro web framework because it doesn't require any particular tool or libraries. And Heroku is a cloud platform as a service supporting several programming language. In our case, Python is our programming language. And for deployment, the deployment folder should have a particular structure. And as you can see the image, this is the structure that should contain. And in the static folder, it contains the images required for the HTML pages. And template folder consists of all the HTML files that were created for the web application. And app.py file is the main Flask app file. And .pkl files or pickle files, or these are used to save the model that we have built for the, as in our case, is the SVM model. Proc file is required for the deployment in Heroku. And requirement file consists of all the packages required to run the application with the version to avoid the version mismatch. Next slide, please. For web application, we have created 3 web pages, 3 HTML pages, and these 3 are the HTML pages that we have created. The first one is the home page, from where we can redirect to the behavior analysis page and emotional analysis page. And next slide, we'll be giving the live presentation of the website. Sriram will be continuing it with that.
Okay, thanks again. Hi everyone, good evening. I am Sriram Javid. I'm going to show the live presentation of the deployed model. See the homepage. My team was created this web application. This part only end user seeing. Something end user did not see something coding part, deployment part. Or end user only seeing this part only. This is the web app link. This is the, if you're clicking the link, if you are landing this page, this is the homepage. We have 2 options. One is behavior analysis and then emotional analysis. First, we can select behavior analysis and click on proceed button. It's redirected to the next page. In the page name is child behavior analysis. It contains 17 questions. Here, see, this is the bold letter. This is a question. This drop down is the answer. this answer contains something numerical value and also categorical value content. You have I am randomly picked the answers and also I have submit that answer. It give one output. Child behavior status is expected. This is the behavior analysis. There's one analysis pending. That name is emotional analysis. If you go to homepage, you can see large top right corner. You can see home link. If you click on home link, you can again landing the home page. This time we can click on emotional analysis and proceed. Click on proceed button. This time we can redirect it to the one page. That name is child emotional analysis. This page contain 17 questions like form. You can fill all the questions. The question you have yes or no questions or something ratings or timing are contained. Then only I can pick randomly answers. I can submit that page. It's given on output. The output is child emotional status is borderline difficulties. Because means child feelings is this one. If you are again going to home page, if you click in home page, this is the procedure of using of the web app. Next, thanks for everyone. Next slide, continue with Akhil. This is the conclusion part of my presentation. Akhil, please continue with conclusion.
Thank you, Sriram. To conclude the presentation of the project, this work represents the thoughtful analysis of the child mental health. The work represents a thoughtful analysis of child mental health. It intentionally geared towards the real world application using the real world data. In our case, that we have collected the real data from the children using their parent consent, and the information about the impact of epidemics on child mental health is relatively important to the policymakers and the parents also in developing the strategies that help the families to cope up with the epidemic driven adversity and ensure the child mental health development. In our analysis, we have identified 17 factors which are affecting the child emotional and behavioral health. These factors can be asked in the form of a questionnaire or in the form to the children and their parents or the caregivers in order to gain a preliminary understanding about the child mental health condition. We are hopeful that this analysis helps the parents in managing the child mental health during the pandemic times. And thank you very much. Next slide. Next slide, please. If you have any questions, you can come in the comment box. You can chat. You can comment them in the comment box. We are ready to answer those questions.